Welcome to Grid. We'll get started here in a couple of minutes, but just wanted to get up here, say hi. Let's kick things off with some wins here. We'll talk about it here later, but we got some time. So, any wins over the last month for anybody? Met any new awesome connections? Done a deal? Hit the lotto? Just had anybody want to come up with that? I think we just had Powerball last night. Yeah, you hit it. Right on. That's what's up. Zara, tell me about it.
Spoke to them in years, and I told them, and they were like, "We're in just the right time that we need a realtor."
Very cool.
And here they show up. It was really good to see them.
Very cool. Welcome. Nice to meet y'all. That's fantastic. Who else? Who's got some wins? Tim.
Well, actually, I have met Dwight at Knoxville, and I told him about new construction stuff tonight. He's like, "Oh yeah, I need to know about new construction," so he's here tonight.
Boom. There we go. Dwight, what's up, brother? Good to meet you. Who else? Who else got some wins? Okay, what's up?
Kind of random. I sell matches, but I made an awesome connection for short-term rentals with a designer up there, and got a pretty sizable order recently. So
very nice. Let's go. Very nice. Very cool. I got a little win. I'll share. I'm actually very excited. My goal was to do 4 flip projects this year. I was getting a little nervous about finding number 4. We've completed 3, but we are set to close on number 4 tomorrow morning, which I'm quite excited for. Yeah. And very excited too, as well, just to, I'm certainly big on partnerships. We're all big on collaboration here, so I'm super excited and appreciate that Mary and Parker are going to be joining on with this. They're coming to joint venture on this flip with me here, this go around. So yeah, very excited for that and excited to have them along for this journey.
Who thinks Cory found that deal off market?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You would think
Who
that.
thinks he found it on the market? Who thinks you can buy a property day one on the MLS for 82% of asking price?
Absolutely.
I only look at off-market properties. Cool. Thanks. Thanks, bro.
Yeah,
Thanks.
right.
More for us.
One more. Yeah,
More for us.
I will say that. Yeah,
There are deals everywhere, every day, in every market.
That's right. Yeah.
Period.
Take the swing, look at it. Don't believe just because it's on market that they won't accept your low offer, because that was literally day one, hours on the market for about 20% off.
It's almost like having a clearly defined buy box with the killer agent works. Just saying. Just saying. Just maybe. It is that simple. I just want to throw that out there because that is the biggest question we get. There are no deals, etc. What our hope for is today is not only are we going to lay out a game plan for you and a framework to understand new construction, we're going to shatter some limiting beliefs about what is possible and what amount of time is possible. So if you're sitting in this room, we're going to have someone on stage today, my friend Jesse, who I remember meeting when he was brand new, sitting in this room, and what he's been able to accomplish in 4 years is pretty impressive. So, Dalton, we ready? Kick this thing off?
Absolutely.
All right.
It's right on that side.
Welcome to September Grid Knoxville. We're talking about understanding the fundamentals of new construction. Great. So, who in here is already involved in new construction? Who's bought a new home? Right? Anybody looked at new construction ever? As a consumer?
Yeah, there you go. That's right.
I'm just trying to get an idea for let's just kind of why did y'all look at new construction instead of something? Why would you want to go into some place and have to buy ceiling blinds and ceiling fans? And why'd you look at new construction? Anybody? No wrong answers. Dalton, why'd you look at new construction?
It was turnkey for move-in.
Turnkey, right? Where does the phrase turnkey comes from? It comes from I can turn the key and I can walk in, right, to this property. In theory, I can, right?
Yep.
Yeah, who else? I saw some hands go up. Duke.
It's 15% built in. By the time I got it built, I just had myself as a builder, but all I was done was refereeing.
15% meaning the value.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So if Duke moved in with 15% equity when he bought one of those. That's another great. He was able to move in with built-in equity. I saw another hand someplace. Kim.
I was going to say, I actually approached a guy about an off-market property, and turns out he was a builder, and he had several new builds that he was kind of interested in moving, so we're still having conversations.
Okay, good. So
Cool.
you're trying to move some new build products. I love it. Anybody else, right?
I built a new house.
Built a new house.
We did a whole lot of the
Was
work.
that process fun?
Huh?
Was that fun process?
It was hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't mind it.
It's the same story every month, right, Cory? It's just a different kind of hard.
Yeah, that's right.
You got to choose your hard. There's no It's just a different kind of hard.
Yeah.
And what feels hard to you doesn't feel hard to someone else.
That's right. Yep, 100%.
Like, this does not feel hard to me. Most people don't want to get up in front of rooms full of people all the time. This does not feel like work. This is the opposite. Cool. All right. So, who are you, Cory? Why are we?
Why are we here? What are we doing right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Where am I? What day is it?
What is it here? So yeah, so welcome. So quick class. So just what is GRID? We always like to kind of set the stage for this. So GRID we look at is a national investor network that gets together. We bring these meetups together at a hyper local level. We certainly believe in collaboration across the country, and when we can get together like this in our local communities, what we're able to do is all learn and grow together in this. So we certainly look at this as we're not here to be gurus or here to pontificate on high. We're like just real people, just like you, doing real deals in real time, here sharing our experiences with you, and trusting you're going to share your experience with everybody else here in the room.
Yeah. And so I would just share, I'm Justin Myers. I started as a mortgage broker back in 2005 when I was 23. I just turned 23 down in Tampa, and I have had the benefit of amazing mentors. Some of you have heard some parts of my story. I've been in a lot of places, but along the way, I have worked for some of the best agents in the country. I've been in some of the best markets in the country. So I've had the experience of like, cool, I'm sharing an office with somebody that's got 45 years in the business and is still doing it at a high level. Along that way, one of the guys I worked for is a guy, Jamie Smith. He's a local builder. Some of y'all in here know him, and I ran the residential sales team for us in the commercial side, and he ran the building side. And so I've got to see what this looks like from the inside along the way. And so right now, I run a real estate sales team with Cory. I'm an investor as well. I get to be director of expansion for GRID. So GRID is in 20 cities, 10 states around the country. We closed to consolidate a couple cities recently. So if you know anybody around the country that should be doing this, I'd love to talk to them. I'm headed to Charleston, to our Charleston location that just opened in July. In 2 weeks. It's going to be September 16th. So you can find all that stuff on our YouTube channel. GRID Investor is the YouTube channel. Who are you, Cory?
Great. So I'm Cory. I've been call it like an investor since 2009. Really what that looked like was I just bought my first home when I was young. I was 22. Learned the house hack game, AKA roommates. Before that was really kind of a fancy term of house hacking. But did that as a way for where I was able to offset my living cost, rent out the extra rooms in my house, save my money, use that to grow. I found a little side hustle around that time frame, 2010 through 12, going to local auctions down in Florida, and I was buying vacant lots at auction and then flipping those to the neighbors. So I could strategically buy the vacant lot between like you and your neighbor's house for $3,000 and sell it to a neighbor on either side for about $8. Make a nice little spread.
One of those land speculators.
That's right. But it was a neat opportunity. It was a fun little side hustle, and it really just got my passion for real estate stoked. So had an opportunity to move here to Knoxville with my wife about 7 years ago and just jumped full in on sales because I certainly always appreciated real estate, wanted to see what it could do for me if I'd really kind of, I guess, took it serious and made a career for it, which is what got me into sales, just to be an agent investor, and now I get to manage a sales team here with Justin.
Yeah, and the reason we share that story is like we overestimate what we can do in 1 year, we underestimate what we can do in 5 years. If you come to our Investing 101, we run that every single month. Travis out front runs that. We kind of walk you through what does it look like to build a cash machine and a wealth machine. What are the steps you need to take before you're actually ready to invest? Like, what's your strategy around risk? And a lot of folks in here, like who in here is looking to get more cash, right? Awesome. And who here is like, I just need to go invest. Like I have enough cash. I just need to invest my cash. Okay. But those are two different things, right? Like, am I building, am I doing new construction because I'm going to hold assets? Or am I doing new construction because it's just another form of like, I want that to be my day job. Mm-hmm. And it's always a thing we want to talk about is like, what's the clarity on those? Like, where am I going towards? It's an amazing play, right? I can build real estate to fund my real estate habit. Mm-hmm. You know, 2 for you, 1 for me. Mm-hmm. That's a great track. But getting clear on what that is, because for us, that involves running a real estate sales team. And so to watch Cory come in here with no network, and then in 5 years, what does it look like right now, Cory? How many? I think we talked 70 listings so far this year?
Yeah, so we built a sales team to about like 70 listings, and then just like personal portfolios. Like we bought our first house like here in Knoxville, but now it's half a dozen single family rentals and still have our our
Yeah,
primary.
the 3
residence.
kids under 5, and Amelia got to stop working. So I just wanted to lay that out of like, there is a pathway. Sometimes I see folks sitting in the crowd that don't want to, waiting 2 years feels too long. And it's like, no, if you do this, like there is time where I'm like, awesome, cool. Now there is a business that kicks off enough profit where the profit is enough to fund, right, to cover our, the whole point of investing is to get enough passive income. Cool. Like the profit from the sales machine that we work on every single day is enough to fund the expenses. And so,
Be a bit of a loaded question.
Please, Sean.
When you buy the lot, would you use a realtor or?
so the question was, when you buy the lot, would you use a realtor?
That's a great question. So those were at auctions. Those were at like, I guess it already passed like foreclosure and everything. So it was just a buy direct. So I was just paying. It was $3,000 in cash. It was literally the first one I did. It was like I went in.
Then you gotta hope there's options, what if you see a lot that you like,
Uh-huh.
great location, how would you approach that?
Yeah.
So the question is, what you're asking is if you see a lot you like, how would you approach purchasing it?
Sure.
And do you have a framework? I think one, we're going to talk about today, we're going to lay out the questions I would ask, but it just depends on your comfortability with risk and your level of experience. Florida, a lot more straightforward, right? All this stuff is in subdivision. The utilities are there. Like the dirt is exactly the same. It's sand, so unless there's sinkholes in the area, and I know we're both from Brevard County, there's not sinkholes there. You know what you can build. It's like, okay, great. You can eyeball exactly what it is. Anybody run into some rock? Like Tennessee's interesting. You can get, like it's not as straightforward on what you can do with the property or what's going on underneath the ground. Or I have more questions here than I ever had in Florida. I thought, I was a realtor and a mortgage broker down there. I thought it was much more straightforward.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so in that instance, I took a very calculated risk. Like I'm buying in a subdivision where the builder just went belly up in the crash, and so there was half of the subdivision was already built, and then I was just cherry picking those lots. Like there's already houses. I had basically a built-in buyer because I had a homeowner on either side of it. So if you said no and I knock on your door and you're like, yeah, no, I'm like, all right, I guess I'll just go talk to the neighbor. And oftentimes one or the other, I would either get stopped, like, well, no, hold on a second, babe, come here, and then we'd hash it out. Or I would just go talk to the neighbor and usually sell it to the neighbor.
And the exit strategy there wasn't really contingent upon what you could even do with the property. It was contingent upon, would you like to have
do you want to
a
double your
larger
lot?
lot and a double lot and no one to the left or right of you? I would say, and we can go through this, we'll come back to this because it's a good question, of the due diligence you want to do on land. My job on the team is to be Cory puts up the numbers and I'm the old vet for locker room culture to just be like, here's the million ways I've seen people mess up in 20 years with a lot more money than me.
Right.
I'm like, here's the edge case that you're not going to see until you're 10 years in the business. And you're like, did you ever think about an Indian cemetery?
Sure. Oh yeah. The
Remember
Indian
that
burial.
one?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
We had a deal fall apart because there's an Indian burial ground that the seller disclosed at the closing table.
At the closing table.
That was a fun one.
Gotta love that. Yeah.
That was a fun one. Cory, why new construction? Well, should we talk? Yeah, let's lay out some logistics here. All right, so what's happening the rest of the month before you jump ahead?
Yep. So we like to run an event every single week now as an opportunity just to continue to pour into the community and continue to grow this community. So what it looks like for us on a monthly format, we always have this meetup here at the beginning of the month. Next week, the second Saturday of each month is our Investing 101. From there, it's the third Friday of the month is our Grid Coffee, Donuts, and Deals. It's our opportunity to come, connect together more in the morning. We've moved over to You Brew Coffee Lounge there.
Who came to the coffee one? What'd y'all think? Was it sick?
Awesome.
Yes. That's what they sound like without coffee. They were very enthused with the coffee.
Yeah, highly
at the
caffeinated and ready
at
to
the
go.
coffee meetup. Andrew opened up a coffee lounge. It is like a cigar lounge. It is super cool. You come in, pick your coffee off the wall, right? Hand grind it, pour over it. It's pretty dope experience.
That's right. Yep. So that's our opportunity to get together in the mornings. That's the third Friday of the week or of the
Vernon,
month,
run
excuse
up
me.
here real fast and wave at the folks. And then we came in, we brought in a ringer. So many of you know Vernon. Vernon is the STR Pro. Vernon has a property management company that's excellent. He does some local STR management as well. And Vernon has started running a monthly STR playbook. So last month we had Charles Shapiro out. He came and talked to us about taxes, bonus depreciation, cost segregation, and the tax effects of the BBB. What are we doing this month?
This month, we're going to talk about the 7M growth strategy, but with that, we're going to have someone there to talk about AI, and she builds agents, and she builds a lot of AI, so I'm going to have her come and speak for about 30 minutes or so, and then the following month, we got Brooke coming to talk. Where's Brooke at? Right there.
So building agents, meaning like, right, if anyone knows what ChatGPT has recently rolled out, Claude was doing this as well, or Anthropic that is behind Claude, is an agent is an AI system that can take independent action with a web browser, right? So instead of just saying, hey, research the cheapest trip to New York, it could go ahead and book that trip for you. Does that make sense? That's what the difference between an agent. And that's where the future of AI is going, is like, how am I utilizing these agents to take action on my behalf? Okay? That's
The key to the whole thing is automations, systems, and
It sounds
processes.
crazy. Come join us at the end of next month. It's a great meeting Vernon runs.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, swap. There you go.
All of this is on Meetup, right? So if you go to Meetup, that is the easiest, fastest way. You can get locations, you can RSVP, all that stuff. Meetup.com, Grid, Knoxville. If you're not using Meetup, great way to meet people and do things and find people to go on hikes with, and yeah, lots of fun. Big thanks to our sponsors. We've got Nate, if you want to stand up in the room. Nate is with Approach Lending. If you need some money to run some deals, go talk to Nate, right? Anything that you can't get conventional financing on, they are a private money solution for us, right? And appreciate you being here. Nate comes here. He's been to our other events out in Raleigh.
right.
Yep.
I was there yesterday.
How was it? What did you guys talk about?
Creative financing.
Yeah, they got a good crew over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great crowd, right?
So creative financing. Morgan, stand up really fast. Morgan loves weird loans. Morgan loves weird loans. Morgan, do you have any new construction loans? We just closed a new construction loan with Foundation. Vin Shell bought a new construction duplex with 5% down. Right, 5% down, and we were able to use the income. She signed a lease with KCDC on the other side. We were able to use a portion of that income to qualify and offset her. Anything we need to know about mortgages real quick?
Nothing particularly new and fancy, but for new construction, you can do it on an investor basis. You can. I've done investor loans before where you build ground up, however large that you want. I can do some pretty crazy stuff. We have been quoting out recently a $90 million development. That is within our capabilities now. We're getting some pretty big stuff coming in the door. So if y'all had no matter the size of the dream, we can make something happen.
What states do you work in?
Entire Southeast.
Fire Southeast.
Okay.
Include Delaware?
No. That is Mid-Atlantic, sir. Not part of the SEC.
This man is an optimist. That's a dreamer. I like this. Closed mouth does not get fed. I like it. All right, perfect. Who in the room? Who's brand new today? I see Juan sitting up
Brand
front.
new,
I see
first time.
Dwight sitting up front.
Cool.
Awesome. Welcome. Give him a hand. This is interactive, y'all. All right. Glad you're here. Grab one of us in a grid shirt if you need to meet somebody before you leave. Happy to make some introductions for you. Corey, who's in the room? Who do you want to
Yeah,
know?
so let's talk about it, right? So everybody's got their own color-coded name badge. We do this tactically to be able to give you the opportunity to purposefully network as you come here. This is a very interactive place to build as we're building a community here. So let's look around. Service providers, contractors, your contractors, real estate agents, property management, title, hands up. Hands up. If you provide a service, raise your hand. Wonderful, right?
All right.
So if
I
you need
see
a service
some
provider,
demo. I see
there's
some
your
trash
people.
out. You're an agent? Is that right, Honor? And Cheyenne, you're both real. I love it. Fantastic. Yes.
welcome. Love it.
Leah's a service provider. We'll bring her up later. Some of our special guests.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. If you got money to lend, you're wearing green. People with cash, raise your hands. Hands up.
Let's go.
I just borrowed your silly.
Let's go. Let me hold
That's cool.
$20.
Yeah.
All right. Fantastic. I love this. Who's got anybody a vendor? Anybody got a unique service? No? Trees, cool. Yeah, Sean's a tree guy. Good. I might need a tree guy. There's a house about to fall. I got a tree about to fall on a house in Mechanicsville. So let's talk after the meeting. Fantastic. All right. Who's got a deal? Anybody got anything to move? Anybody got any deals? I got a couple off-market deals that have crossed my desk. Yeah. Is anybody looking for a primary? Anybody looking for like a primary with equity? Like a primary residence. Is anybody looking like house hacker? I'm seeing a number of deals cross my desk. We do cash offers that don't make sense as a pure investment. But man, if someone's going to move in as a primary, they make a lot of sense. Does that make sense? Like 90% LTV, or maybe 85% LTV. I've gotten like 3 calls on that. Yeah, Eric, talk to me after the meeting. Like I just had a call today on that where a guy, it's like, one's in Oak Ridge, like 10 minutes from Y12. I've seen one in Clinton that I think makes a lot of sense. That's an older brick house that is dated. That one, they would love to get, like a 90% offer. I think it makes some sense. And then I had one in Knoxville as well. Yeah, grab us afterwards. But I see a bunch of those. Okay.
Yeah.
Cory, why new construction? Why would you want to? Let's do giveaways. We'll do giveaways later.
We can go with the end.
All right.
That's cool. Here,
Cory,
you
what's
film.
this?
Yep, just, hey, you're on camera. So by being here, you're saying, cool. It's cool to take my picture. It's cool to be on camera.
Yes.
Simple as that.
Love it. If
Maybe
you've
the next
gotten
one?
some value out of here, I know Brooke was taking some photos for us. Thank you, Brooke. Where are you? Appreciate you. She's hiding in the back with Lauren. But we appreciate that. So, important legal stuff. Trust but verify, right? You should only be investing money that you can afford to lose or at least potentially not be able to access for some time, right? I definitely have seen investments go sideways where we've had to wait a decade to exit them successfully. So, we are not appraisers. We are not construction experts, right? We're not GCs. What else are we not, Cory?
I'm not a loan officer. I'm not a CPA.
Not an attorney.
Not an attorney.
I'm not
No.
a surveyor.
Nope.
Yeah. So verify this information, right? But truly, like, verify this information, Also, like, don't just ask ChatGPT. Ask, like, a real expert. If you want some experts, we can hook you up with great experts. Like, cool.
That's right.
Why would you mess with new construction?
Why would you mess with new construction?
What's that? I didn't hear what you said.
New plumbing.
New plumbing, I love it. Why else? Why mess with new construction? Why do we like new construction? Why buy new cars? Who likes new stuff? We have anybody here that doesn't want to live in a house that someone else has lived in? Am I the only person that works with those kind of clients?
My in-laws
Right?
are that.
I was like, yeah, we had some different parents. I was built way different. We were shopping at the flea market. And that's after they had the money to not shop at the flea market. They're frugal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
Okay.
my in-laws are that way.
Yeah.
Never bought a used home.
Yeah,
Always
deal.
new. Right?
Used-
Yeah,
used
exactly.
home.
All right. It's a different way to look at it.
The other side of the tracks.
Truly.
I love it. Gently used home for sale. Right?
Buy brand new cars too.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. New all
Awesome.
the
So
way.
yeah, so why buy new? Some of it people like new subdivisions, right? I just was in Corpus Christi this weekend, and my mom had moved into a new. I got 2 moms. My moms had moved into a subdivision, brand new construction subdivision, and liked all the features and amenities. But then of course is complaining about all the the postage stamp lot and everything that comes with new construction, the lack of sidewalks. You're like, yeah, that's what happens.
that's the
But
trait.
she's got a brand new house
It's brand new out of it.
and like a mortgage at 63, whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's right.
So why new construction? A couple different reasons.
Yeah.
First, less competition. What does that mean?
Yeah. So, I mean, less competition is going to be out there, less competition for, certainly in comparative to the fix and flip space, where a lot of folks may be competing over the same house to go flip it. A lot less people entering that space as well. There's certainly a higher cost or barrier for entry that can also be associated
Yes.
with going in.
I would say the barrier to entry, I see, how many people have seen some content about fixing and flipping or burning on social media, right? The rest of you just don't want to raise your hands. If you're not on social media, right? Have you heard someone talking to you about flipping or burning? How many have seen someone talking to you about new construction? A lot. Good. I love it, right? But it's a significantly higher barrier to entry, right? You need more specific knowledge. Like everybody has lived in a house and people know how to, right, update a bathroom or update a kitchen. You need specific knowledge and a specific network, right, to have some success in new construction.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Predictable costs and timelines. Anybody laughing at that one in the building size? But predictable costs and timelines.
Yeah.
Sure.
How many people have done a flip and just run completely over time? Yeah, everybody. Am I absolutely right into that?
And money, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So by having a predictable outcome, by knowing the phases of construction, what you're going to go through, you're not uncovering the unknowns. We're not going into something that's borderline 100 years old and has been a handyman special for the last 60 years anyway, and you end up having to undo 60 years of work in order to go put it back.
Yep.
You've got something brand new, fresh start.
Yeah, and I would say when new construction projects go sideways, they tend to go sideways in predictable ways. Oh, I ran into an issue with the draws. Oh, I'm having trouble managing my subs, right? And like knowing how to manage like the sequence of them and have some flexibility. I'm having issues with inspections, right? Or most often, like I'm having issues on the front end getting started. Like managing that process, the approval process. Like it is a lot more predictable. I'd say costs again are much more predictable in that I could go sit down, and if I had the right partners, I could sit down with some plans and pick out some selections, and I could create a predictable budget on that project.
And
if
likely,
I don't make changes.
And likely just copy paste.
Yep.
You could run that over and over and
Yeah,
over again.
and you can. And that's how we've done it before. Better returns. Better returns. So Cory, why do you think the returns can be better on new construction?
Well, certainly from, I'd say, I'm not an appraiser, but from what I've seen, at least from the appraisal standpoint, certainly those are going to command a much more premium price in general as far as their after repair value or what they're done there. It can be certainly easier to raise some cash. Oftentimes there's just a lot of equity built in, like day one. Oftentimes when I see that CO get like issued, you're golden for, I don't know, upwards of six figures. On
And I'd say, definitely access to capital,
Yeah,
right?
immediately.
Like, if I want to go run a fix and flip, I'm probably looking at potentially at a private lender. On the new construction side, although I still think private lending can make a lot of sense, right? When you look at the timelines, if you have a team that can crank through, not dealing with the bank can be attractive. But there's a lot more sources to capital. You can go to a banker you have a relationship with and get a new construction loan. There's lots of other people out there. I have found in talking to the general public, it seems to be less anxiety about joint venturing, right, on a new construction project than maybe a flip because there's less unknowns, right? We might run into some delays in worst case scenario, like we're getting chewed up by the carrying costs. We're not going to uncover that we don't have a foundation like on Hannah,
Yeah,
right? And
100%.
we got to double our budget from 50 to 100.
That's right. Yeah. The last one there too, it was probably one of my favorite parts on it is you can sell it before you're even done. Largely not the case on something that you're flipping and renovating. You can pre-sell a property. I've seen it done before shovels even hit the dirt.
I got to list Frankie's house.
Yeah.
Frankie's not here. Frankie Ramos has got a new build coming on Mitchell, right off of like Cherry, right by the new Baker Boy Pizza. If you haven't been there, it's good.
Good spot.
It's excessive in the Orange Hat Brewery. I'm going
Yeah,
backwards.
but being able just to pre-sell something in advance, have it locked up, you've got your pretty much guaranteed outcome on the backside versus having to wait until your project's actually done before you're going to have it up for sale.
I would say this one's huge. Modern Appeal. I spent years. I mentioned I had a partner that was a builder, right? And so the projects we did, I always was selling a turnkey project that was going to be the nicest in the neighborhood, typically. Maybe comparable with what else in the neighborhood. So if I was doing a flip, it was we were taking it above market and setting a record, right? Adding features, doing that. I find that is easier. That is easier to create an emotional response if you know how to market in a buyer. If I have a totally modern, on trend, I've got this thing staged. I've seen it again and again, and I've watched other agents do that as well. I've watched agents do this in Florida where they take someone out, and the last thing they do, they would stop and they'd show them some new construction. and they would close them again and again and again, because the process, right? I'm taking you into, this is for the larger builders down there. There's a ton of builders in the Tampa area. I'm walking you into a staged model with a really great salesperson that can answer all of your questions, an existing community. Like, the feel of it feels very different, right? There is no me and you fighting about, you say it's not a big deal, but look how long it took you to the baseboards last time, right? All that other friction, right? Which tends to drive the buying process, right?
100%.
It's just friction creates like resistance in sales.
Yeah.
And then market trends.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, certainly with the massive housing shortage that we have, there's certainly a lot more leverage on your side when you're actually going to build versus trying to, I would say, fix up existing inventory. You're adding to the supply versus just polishing what's already there.
Anybody not a fan of new construction? I always have some people in there that like an older home. I've had some clients I've sold to that do not want new homes. I love it. Yeah, I see you, sister. Ironically, you build new houses, but I love that you. Yeah, I do too. I go and I build new houses, so I think it's interesting. When we're looking at selling and exiting, right? The whole game is how big can I make my buyer pool? That is why, just free game here, if I'm doing a flip or something, right? If instead of leaving that last 5% for this buyer, which I know any investors like to do that, they can overlook it. If you just go that last 5%, you get people that are shopping solely on a payment basis and a convenience basis, right? They don't have to be handy. They don't have to have one of them that can do this. They may not be able to do this work. Like, so when I have a brand new construction home, that tends to appeal to the largest buyer pool possible, right? Like, your wife would not be mad if you looked at a new build home.
Not at all. No,
Right?
yeah, no. Regularly we'll go out, and yeah, if I show her something that needs a little bit of work, I have to go take her to a palette cleanser, which is typically something that's like brand new.
So it doesn't mean you can't buy that fixture or that flip, but just a new build house has the widest possible buyer pool. That's what makes new construction attractive. It's one of the reasons we like infill, because if new construction infill can be really interesting and exciting, it doesn't always have the same drawbacks as like subdivision new construction. So,
Justin,
yes, sir.
you said new construction is the largest buyer pool.
I would say a totally move-in ready brand new home has the largest possible buyer pool. If I'm looking at just like the psychological factors, if I look at from dealing with buyers for 20 years, like the actual psychological factors that determine a decision, which is like they may have the means, but they don't want to mess with it. They don't want to mess with the effort. And I would say, anybody else have this experience? Since COVID, I have seen a significant shift where more and more people are prioritizing convenience.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, everything is push button. Can I get it right now?
Yeah, but I would disagree. I would disagree because I'm seeing it in I'm seeing it in people I've worked with in Knoxville, my luxury buyers that used to be making rational decisions, and I'm listing a $2 million house over in Country Way right off of Foxden. We just had to take off the market because they didn't want to address the deferred maintenance, and people didn't want to mess with the deferred maintenance. And we could not, there was the you know that house?
Oh, yeah, I know that.
Yeah, we could not come to a meeting of the minds. Right? Beautiful. Yeah, we did this sick. If everybody came to that ice cream open house I did, it was that house. Like, they did not want to mess with the deferred. It was like, I don't want to take the project on. It didn't matter if I could make the money make sense. They wanted like a $200,000 convenience premium there. So that's why I would argue it's got the widest possible buyer pool. But I'm open if everyone thinks, there's a conversation. Lots of people work with different buyers. But I'd say it's probably the biggest possible buyer pool for yourself as a new build house.
Is there a lesson there? Don't defer any maintenance?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it costs money to keep up an asset. Yeah.
Or just looking at if you're leaving it, it's an opportunity cost. Like you're also trading your time for money in that. So yeah, I might be able to say cut the corners or not make the repair and save on my time, but I'm likely going to lose on it on the money side of it.
Cool. So, Cory, you ready to talk to our guests?
Totally.
Awesome. Jesse, come up here for a second.
Everybody give him a hand.
Big hand for Jesse Outercone coming down to the Drew Barrymore couch. Sweet.
Come on, dude.
Yes, sir.
Over there.
Awesome. Here,
You
I'll
don't need
share
to
it,
hand.
Joel.
Yeah, you take that.
Okay. All right, so this is my friend Jesse Aldercone. Jesse, when did you first start coming to Grid? When did I meet you? I want to say
right about 4 years ago.
yeah, 4 years ago. How old are you now, Jesse?
I am 22.
Yeah. So I met Jesse when Jesse was 18, and a couple things stood out to me that I think I want to have, because who here has been thinking about investing for more than a year? Got you, right? Jesse and I had a conversation, and he said, I've always been interested in new construction, right? How'd you get exposed to it?
I've been around it my whole life. My parents were in construction. They did construction. I was just around it. I was never involved in new construction. We did brick masonry.
Can you guys hear Jesse in the back? So he got interested in that, and we had this conversation where, as you're going to find if you talk to Jesse afterwards, he's very sharp. He's always been very sharp, had a good head on his shoulders, and he said, I thought about becoming an engineer, and then I looked at the amount of debt that I was going to carry when I graduated, and instead I decided to go into the trades, and when I met him, he was a diesel mechanic, right out of high school. Did you go to trade school right after you graduated, or you started doing vocational in high school?
No, so I did some classes in high school, just mechanics, and I fixed stuff in my own house. Got into it. I went to trade school while I worked a diesel mechanic job, and then I quit the school to continue just a job and start wholesaling.
Yeah. And so then, when I met him, he got in here and he started wholesaling, right? So wholesaling, if you've not heard the term before, if you're new, is when you purchase a property, you have a bundle of rights in a contract. And one of those rights is the ability to assign that contract to somebody else, right? Hey, that I can fulfill my terms in this contract, I put it under contract, I can let Juan step in and buy on my behalf, and we're still good. Like, I fulfilled the terms of my contract, and the way that practically might work, Cory and I have done it, where I'm like, hey, Cory found a deal, and he'd like underwritten it, and then he didn't have and I took it over, and just threw Cory some money, right, for the work and the effort that he did. So Jesse started wholesaling, how'd you get into wholesaling? Did you go to some meetups, did you?
YouTube. Just watch YouTube videos. So just watched some YouTube videos and started hitting the phones.
How much time do you think you spent with Jason McDaniel?
I spent about a few months with him. I started wholesaling before I met him.
Yeah.
So
Jason is a friend of mine who is currently traveling the world, right? Used to come to Grid, known him a long, long time, back when he was flipping cars. And him and Richard Gamble started another investor meetup in town. And Jason would say all the time, hey, I love talking about this. Call me if you want to go driving for dollars or to talk about this stuff, right? And Jesse is one of the very few people that actually called him and came and hung out with him. I just, again, want to throw this out here that, again, success is really simple. It's really simple. Like, only a couple of you, this is all free. So only a couple of actually take action and take resources. So I love that. So you did wholesaling. How long were you doing wholesaling? Like, what happened that made you decide to move towards new construction?
So I was wholesaling for about a year before I got into my first flip. And all this was going on while I was still working my job as a diesel mechanic. So for about a year and a half, I was doing diesel mechanic while I was doing wholesaling and the flip. The flip went not so good. It took way longer. We went over budget. And it was just a bunch of unexpected, costs, problems. And I started looking into new construction and figuring out that there's a system and it's way easier to follow the system than, knocking down some drywall and finding you have to replace an entire wall because it's all rotted out. Who's ran into that before?
I see some heads in the back there. So what did you like about wholesaling?
Wholesaling, the reason I get into it was to find deals. What I liked about it was the quick cash of it. So you get in, you find a contract, you know how to find the deal, and then you just sell it to, a friend or another investor trying to look for a good deal.
What was an average return for you on a wholesale transaction? About how many did you do? What did that look like?
I can't remember how many I've done in total, but I've done a few. I would say, it depends.
Closer to 5 or closer to 20?
Between 5 and 20. It just depends.
Okay. Alright. So you got into that, and then you decided, hey, I want to get into new construction. What I want to lay out here is like, I would see Jesse, and it was always like very linear. Like, cool, I think I'm focusing on wholesaling, and then Jesse would just be hanging out with wholesalers and talking to wholesalers, and tried some partnerships or focus on some other things. How much time was it taking you to find deals?
What do you mean? Like
wholesaling, how much time were you spending hunting for deals when you were doing that?
So when I was wholesaling and I was working my job, lunch breaks and after work, I was just hitting the phones, calling, looking at properties, and weekends. So basically, anytime I had free time, I would go and try to find deals.
Okay. And then you decided, hey, I want to get into new construction. What does that process look like for you? Like, walk me through, I'm going to go become a contractor. I'm going to, what?
Yeah, so I've done some side jobs as well along the way. So I've done some decks, some retaining walls, little stuff that I've kind of subbed out or done some of the work myself along with doing the flip and working my job. So it was at that point I was like, okay, I know I want to get into new construction. I found a good deal on a piece of land, and I was like, okay, to get into it, I don't know any contractors. I'll just go get my own license. Went to go get it, and then as soon as I got it, I quit my job and just started.
How much cash do you think you needed to get started in new construction? What do you feel like you had to have squirreled away?
So for me, I just found a partner and we did it all cash. It was hard to find financing, especially for, you know, a 20-year-old kid to get started into new construction.
Did you just negotiate like a joint venture of, hey, well, I'll build this, you put up the cash, and we'll split the profits?
No, it was 50-50. It was me and someone close to my age. We just both had cash. Like, this whole time I've just saved cash. I haven't spent any money on, I didn't buy clothes, I didn't buy anything. I just saved, put in the bank.
Gotcha. So really, really simple. Hey, I'm not going to go into debt. I'm going to go get a trade job where I can make $70K a year, live very frugally, right?
Yeah, very frugal. I didn't spend
Roommates
it.
or just found a cheap apartment, or
No,
what?
I just lived with my parents, so I was still at home.
Yeah. Right. So
It's
again,
legal
like,
at that age.
how do I hold expenses down, and then I'm going to go get, what did it cost you to become a GC?
I would say all in cost, about $5 to $7 grand of costs. You know, then you got your books, you got to study for your tests, and about 6 months of time.
Okay. And then when did you get your GC license, and where are you right now?
So I got it 2024.
Yep.
Beginning of 2024, like February, and I started building in March of 2024.
Did you have access to mentors? Like, were you asking other people for advice about builds or running stuff like by plans, or?
So I met some people just through, you know, networking, and you know, of course, a lot of people hit them up and are like, hey, help me out with this. So they were kind of numb, I would say, to helping everybody out, just because not that many people took action. So I got the ability to ask them a few questions, but, you know, not like, hey, walk me through this, hold my hand. So I had to figure a lot of stuff out myself.
And you told me you just had lunch with a guy I introduced you to. It's a friend of mine. It's been a commercial subcontractor for like 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, like before you came here. So I think that's, again, like, it's just, you don't need a lot of relationships, right? And you build how many houses now?
I'm on my third one right now.
Okay. So 4 years,
Card.
third house.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions before we let Jesse go?
Business card.
Okay, Jesse, have a business card. Jesse builds for himself. He's smart. He's figured out that he's not messing with consumers. Yeah, one.
Jesse, is it ALARCON?
Yeah.
Bro, I'm ALARCON too.
Oh, they're trying to expose the letters.
That's crazy.
And Jesse, you said you didn't know any contractors, and so you went and got your own GC. My
Yeah.
understanding is you have to be sponsored by a contractor to get one.
So I had some contractor friends, and I've worked for some people and done some side jobs, so I got references that way.
Yep. So your question was, do you have to have a sponsor to become a general contractor?
So you don't need sponsors, you need references.
References.
Okay. Fantastic. Jesse, big hand for
Hold
Jesse.
on, I got a question. What's
Yes.
your goal for the next 2 years? You've done 3, you wanna do 30?
So
300?
I got quite a bit in the pipeline right now. I've just been buying land lately and trying to figure out the city permits. The city's been hard to deal with. But in the next year, I got quite a bit going on. And then and the next year, I want to buy some acreage to build a subdivision.
What size are you looking for?
I would say between 5 and 20 units. Houses, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are your mom and dad proud of you?
I would say so.
How do you think they would be very?
But I just wanted to share, like, I just met somebody last month, and he was telling me that his partner's son just bought a house in Farragut, right? He worked, what do you do, like detailing or something. Anyways, he saved $20,000 in 18 months by working nights and weekends like a maniac. and then he went and put down a down payment and he bought a house in West Knoxville. Like, it is still possible to make all of these plays in the market we're in right now. And, you know, I think
God bless America.
Jesse's a remarkable guy, but nothing Jesse did is not anything anyone, like, we've been in the same rooms, I've seen the people he's talking to.
Yeah, really for the first 2 years was just hustling, really. So working a job, trying to find other stuff to do on the weekends and whatever time I had available.
What's one piece of advice you get if somebody's getting started?
Just put your head down and work.
I would say the other thing was, when we would do these things, Jesse would be here till the end, asking questions and talking, and he would sit there, and if no one was around, Jesse would just be asking us, like, very deliberate questions about, like, whatever he wanted to know. Like, didn't call all the time, but, like, we're here, this time is free, like, he would just sit and take advantage of it, and it's been very cool to see what you've done. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, man. Cory, any thoughts? Jesse, is this you, bud?
Yep, that's fine.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Any thoughts, man? We got another guest coming up here, but
Well, it's just a pretty remarkable story and just shows the power of focus, of taking action. I think there's a propensity for people to call it like a, you know, ready. There's a great book called like Ready, Fire, Aim, which is kind of one of my favorites because that's largely how I kind of operate. Like, I'm gonna get ready, I'm just going to go take action, and I'm going to then calibrate as I go. And I think a lot of people can get caught up in like a ready, aim, fire, but then it's like a ready, aim, or I'm going to get ready, I'm going to get ready, versus just, I heard one thing, that's good, I'm going to go do that, and build upon it and rinse and repeat, just doing it over and over again. It really is just like, I certainly commend him for just
and Jesse
hearing something and taking
glossed
action on
over
it
like,
immediately.
this is not all like anything else, right? Tough knocks, tough lessons, oof, like the flip, you know, and then just continuing to go, hey, what's the next thing I could possibly do? But just want to throw that out there of, we're gonna get Chris up. Chris has a pretty remarkable story as well. But just wanted to, I think Jesse is a great example of like, I was here 4 years ago. I've been interested in new builds. Man, I watched this kid lap me. Like, nothing stopping me from getting my contractor's license right now. Cool. Cory, who's our guest? You met him in, how'd you meet Chris?
Yeah, so Chris and I met earlier this year down at a new construction. It was a home building 101 that a mutual friend of ours, Reggie Jordan, puts on down in Chattanooga a couple times a year. And I saw this guy like online. I was like, oh, it's pretty intriguing. I'm gonna go to this. And so went down there, joined that room, just started connecting, met Chris, kind of heard his story. I was like, man, like what a cool transition and journey to jump into this and go. So then when the opportunity came up as we were putting this and we were looking for speakers, Chris was one of the guys I thought of just that had a really commendable story. So Chris has come up here from Augusta, Georgia to join us to share his story, to be available and just talk through some stuff.
Yeah,
Super
how'd it go
stoked.
from not being, big hand for Chris. Chris, come on up here, man. We're gonna put you right here. Fantastic, so I can hand you this. Here, you wanna sit in the middle? You can pass yours.
Yeah, that'll work.
I'll sit over here. All right, we'll do this. All right, so. Oh.
Actually. No, I'm thinking about this. You take that, and then I'll pass that. Take that. You hold that.
All right.
Hold that.
It's tough being on TV, guys. All
Gotcha,
right,
Dalton.
fantastic. So, Chris is going to jump in. Cory and him are going to tell the story. But what I think is really cool is if you go look at Chris's social media. Chris, what are you on social media? Just Chris Oyenuga?
Yep. Yeah, well done.
Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me? Yeah. Cool. Yep, my handle on Instagram is Chris_Oyenuga_the closer.
Yes.
So Chris Oyenuga, the closer.
There's not many Chris Oyenugas. It'll pull up when you start putting Chris on. You'll get it fast, right? But I just watched him. He has something called highlights, and I went and looked at his highlights really quick, so I wanted to get a feel for this. And Chris is there saying, next year, I'm going to be a real estate developer. And then just watching him take action, and then I'm like, oh, here he is with this guy, Reg the Builder, that Cory talks about, that he went to see in Chattanooga. And then you're going to hear he's taken like a lot of action and just kind of like fast-tracked what's possible. Walk us through, like, yeah, Cory, I'm gonna let you jump on this. Like let's hear the story. How'd you get started? Tell us everything.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. Can we just have another round of applause for my guys Cory and Justin for having me set this up? A lot of work they do. And also another round for Jesse. He's a dream chaser, so good work, man. Cool. Yeah. Again, thanks for having me, guys. Chris Oyanuga from Boston, Massachusetts. Lived all along the East Coast, Maine, the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia. Did you say that grid started in Reston?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that was my first job out of college. Was down there in Northern Virginia. Engineering background brought me down to Georgia, building some nuclear facilities down there for Plant Vogel, Georgia Power job, and yeah, what really got me started was bigger pockets. So actually, let me take a step back. I started doing concrete when I was 16 years old. So my stepdad was a hardworking farm guy. He's like, hey, you gotta work, gotta get up and get it. So started doing concrete, worked there for like 3-4 years. And you know, when we're doing crafts and we're in the trenches being dirty, you always look like, who's that guy in the truck? Like, what is he doing? Who's the superintendent? Like, who's the guy in the nice buttoned up shirt? So that got me into engineering. So 2012, graduated high school. No, sorry, 07. 2012, I got my associates in civil engineering. 2015, I got my bachelor's and moved from Boston down to DC. And that kind of started off my civil engineering career down there with Bechtel. And actually, funny enough, we were building the Y12. So my first job was a structural designer for some of these buildings right up the street.
Sorry. Just try.
Oh, you good? Cool. Yeah, so from there, like I said, working as a structural designer, you know, so there's a construction side and there's a theory side. So the design aspect is saying, hey, what is the requirements and how do we design a building to meet those requirements? But yeah, my friend was always listening to his head pause, and I'm like, what are you up to? Like, what you listen to? And that's when he put me on to Bigger Pockets. And I was like, okay, so you can own like a house? I was like 22, I was like, in DC, I was like, I'm never gonna own a house. And I was like, you can own more than one house? He said, yeah, I got like 3 of them. I was like, okay, so let me see what's up. But yeah, that's kind of what like got my bug for real estate. And then moving from DC, where you can buy like parking spots for like 50 grand, to Georgia, where I bought my first turnkey rental for 50 grand. It was kind of eye-opening. So it was just an opportunity and
Sure.
just timing.
Yeah. So moved to Augusta, listening to a lot of Bigger Pockets. Did you go right into building and development, or was there like a mid spot of playing around in the sort of fix and flip game that so many of us tend to operate in? Or
Cool.
started?
Yeah, so like how I look at investing, there's like kind of 4 levels. So the first level is fix and flip, right? We see HGTV, hey, I'd like to flip a house. He said I could make 25 grand. Who else could use 25 grand? Right? It's about everybody, right? So so that's great. You're like, all right, so if I can make 25 grand and right now I make 50 grand at my job, I only got to flip 2 a year, right? So I started fixing and flipping, that was cool. But you know, you get taxes and then you're only as good as your last flip, right? If you're dried up, you know, you're just on the sideline. So the next level is buy and hold, right? That's the wealth generator, right? How can I get my net worth up? How can I get my cash flow up? How can I replace my income, right? So then you look at it from that optic. If you're like, hey, I'm making 50K a year. I make $500 a month off this rental. I need X amount. So that's like the linear mindset of how to retire. So from there, the next step is new construction, right? As I was an engineer down at Bechtel, I flipped about 35 homes in 4 years. So pretty heavy. And, you know, you start to see there's like a pull. There's a pull from real estate. And you're going to feel a push from your W-2. You guys will all feel it. Don't worry, it's coming. But yeah, so that's kind of got me into the fix and flips. And I was like, man, this, you know, you get burned after a couple. Talking about no foundation, burials, people playing the wrong way. So I was like, man, I don't like losing money. And then you've been through enough fix and flips. You're like, I was a contractor, so I was building for myself, and then I started flipping for other people. And you know, sometimes your estimate's only as good as your scope. So if I don't go under the house and I don't go into the attic, I don't have a true inspection report, you know, that's how you miss it, right? And I actually advise folks to even have an inspection report on your fix and flips or your rentals, because the $400 you spend could save you thousands. Or you may be like, hey, this ain't even a deal, right? So I was just tired of getting burned on that. I don't like losing money, right? So I was working contracts for other folks, and it's like, all right, I was supposed to make 20 grand. Okay, this happened. I'm gonna make 17. So I'll make 13. It's like, I'm working for free. Non-profit over here. Yeah, that's kind of what turned me off. And then I got exposed to new construction. And again, I kind of been on the tools for a minute, but I just like the reduced variables, right? It's more predictable, like you guys said. It's scalable. You're not peeling back stuff, right? Sometimes with the fix and flips, you got to tear it out and then you find out what you got. Whereas, we could just go off the plans. So that's kind of what got me into the new construction.
Okay. And then, so I guess take us through that journey, because you've been doing it now for a couple of years. And so walk us through, like, you talked like scale, and it looked like, from our early conversation, like you jumped like fairly quickly as far as like year 1 to 2 to 3. So like walk us through, what did year 1 look like, time frame, scope, like how many builds, etc., and then progressively.
I'd be curious to know, did you start with a big vision in mind when you decided to go?
Yeah, so the big vision was development, right? So like you said, townhouse developments, subdivisions, and commercial, right? We all love apartments. So when you're looking at single family homes, like why would I want 5 different roofs, 5 different HVACs, 5 different foundations? Let me just find out how to build a 5-plex, right? So it was always like, because I've been working commercial, right? Like a lot of my experience is like multi-million, multi-billion, so it was kind of easy to dream a little bigger than that.
Okay, and if I'm gonna manage a construction project, why not manage a giant construction project instead of a small construction project? Did it help having maybe the comparison of, here's my day job, I'm doing these versus these flips, and like the amount of headache it is to manage one of these projects?
Absolutely. Yeah, it just got laborious. You start increasing your risk. You think like, hey, I'm doing 5 flips a year. It's like, all right, well, that's 5 times. That could go left or right.
So to go back to Cory's question, then I think that's a great question then. So walk us through the progression. You started with a big goal in mind. Hey, I want to be a developer. So what does that look like year 1 and then year 2? Good question, Cory.
Cool. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. So the first thing is exposure, right? So like, I think a lot of people are unfamiliar with new construction, and that's why you're so scared. So let me get a raise of hand. Who's scared of new construction? All you guys are comfortable over there? You good? Okay, cool. But yeah, just like anything, it's exposure, right? So I found a mentor, didn't charge me nothing. I just pulled up on him, like, hey, what you doing? What can I do? How can I help? What you up to? Just bugged him, really.
How'd you find him?
My barber. Yeah, my barber was a business partner with him.
Okay.
Yeah, they both had like daycares and just a random guy.
And walk us through, because I think that's the gap that people miss. It's not, Hallie just came here. She's like an architectural designer. It's not the technical term, I always mix it up, but just like, hey, can we take you all the way from plans to execution to interior design, source materials, all of that stuff. And she just told me it was real cool. She's like, since we met, I went and I met the people you met, and they introduced me to more people, and I've had some like great conversations. I think so many people, the hardest part for them is that first connection of like, well, I can't just go ask Chris for help. Was it just that simple of like, you met this guy and you're like, hey, can I just go, you just showed up, called up John and like, hey John, like, I want to learn, how can I learn?
It's just timing. Like, what's meant for you is for you, right? So it's just timing. How you can add value, right? How can you have them, like, when you get off the phone, like, man, that was a good conversation. I left better than I started. So just adding value. Just trying to see how I could help him out. Give him. I actually also gave him a lender. So one of my lenders that helped me on the fix and flip side, a lot of creative stuff with equity. I put them in touch and just trying to add value and be a resource, really.
Mm-hmm.
Not get in the way, right?
So year 1, what did you jump in here, what did you do year 1? How many projects? What is that? So you met this guy, and then you did something with him? You went alongside him, or what?
I just watched him.
Okay.
I just watched him, just pulled up. If I go around town, I see somebody like, hey, let me get your number, subcontractors, you know how we do.
Yep.
Who are you, what do you do? Let me see your work. But yeah, I just kind of followed him. And yeah, just look for more opportunities.
You ever have a negative experience talking to a sub, blowing up on somebody?
Never.
Okay.
Never. No,
Yeah, it's been
pretty
my-
open.
It's been my experience. Everybody's always looking for more work.
Yeah.
The
Yep.
bigger issue is they all say yes, and then you find out, like, yes means, they say yes to everything.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I'm a
Do it
plumber
because-
and an electrician and a roofer. Like, whoa, pick one. Pick one. Let's start there. But yeah, year one, just getting in the books, just, you know, like you said, YouTube, just learning. So funny enough, you know, like you said, social media is a big generator for a lot of business. I don't even have a website yet. I don't have business cards. Everything's going word of mouth organically. But basically, yeah, just going after it on social media, saying, hey, I want to do this. And people saw my fix and flips, hey, that's good quality. And actually, the first job came to me. They were 2 investors out of DC, and they bought a lot. Funny enough, they bought a wholesale lot off my friend in downtown Augusta. And my friend's like, oh, this place is a dump. I was like, yeah, it is a dump, but we can tear it down. So they tore it down, but yeah, they were like looking for a builder, and I was like, hey, I never built before, but I got construction experience. You know, I'm an engineer. I got my master's in construction management. Like, I know how to build. It's just a little bit of a learning curve. So what I did is I set up a cost plus contract, right?
What's that?
So cost plus is what you do to guarantee profit, right? So if I am building for you, I can say I'm going to give you all my labor and materials plus 25%. That's my current model. So if it's $100,000 for sticks and bricks, labor and material, I charge $125. There's a couple advantages to that. The first is we're transparent, so you get to see my numbers, right? So you're not like, oh, you know, if anybody's buying a new build, it's like, hey, how am I getting burnt? Like, where's the first place where I could save some money? So yeah, we did the cost plus model with them.
Is the first place, to close that, is the first place on the materials?
To get the
You
numbers.
said, where's the first place I could save some money? Yeah, where is the first place I could save some money?
Yeah, materials and just negotiation, right? Negotiation with subs. Yeah, that's really it. So, but yeah, so cost plus model, I did with these guys out of DC, and I was like, hey, like, it ain't gonna be perfect, but it's gonna get built. I got mentors, I got some good solid subs. I was like, I'm gonna charge you 23 grand. So we went through the whole budget, and I only charged them 23 grand. That's very cheap. Probably cost us about 185, maybe 190 to build. We built our first house in like 5 months. So yeah, that was my first one, cost plus. And you know, just like anything with your contractors, there's milestones, right? So I'm like, hey, if you give me 23 grand, you know, I get 5 grand once we do the foundation, and 4 grand once we do the framing, and 5 grand once we do the MEPs. So you know, you can eliminate some of that risk by working on the milestone basis. So yeah, that was my first build. On time, on budget, made some money, and then kind of took off.
So what does that look like? So you did that one, what year was that?
That was 2024.
2024, you do that, and then in the next 12 months, how many do you do?
Next 12 months, we did 9 builds.
Awesome. So that takes us into 2025. What part of the year is 12 months in? Is that beginning of the year or just recently?
To the end of the year. So by the end of this year, for 2025, fiscal will be like 9 builds.
Okay.
Yep.
And what do you have in the pipeline coming?
We got a lot. We have probably about 25 parcels we own in downtown. And I like Jesse's point too, just buying land, right? If you know it's coming up, you can just buy it, right? They're not making any more of it. Just lock it up. And a lot of people, unfortunately, they just don't know what they got.
Who's funding that? Is that just you off of like the stuff you've done, or do you have a partner that is like the bankroll? How are you funding all that?
It's a hybrid approach. So I'm gonna give you guys my special sauce, right? I'm gonna start off early, so you can add some value to you. All right, so what I do is I use private money lenders to acquire the land.
Hey, Nate.
So basically, you know, you always buy at a deep discount. That's how you create value. So I'm buying lots, say like $7,500, $10,000. So I'll go to my PML, and they'll give me maybe 15 or 25 grand. So actually, I'm leaving closing with startup cash. And they're like, hey, we see what's going on in this area. It's coming up. You know, there's equity in the deal. So I use PML to lock it up, and I own it on paper. And then I go to the bank for a construction loan, and they actually will take first position on the loan.
So the private money, because you have a relationship with them, isn't worried about securing that on the, how many deals did you have to do before they were able to do that deal with you?
Day one.
Okay. So that private money lender has a model where they're not worried about putting a lien on first position on the land. They're lending.
Only until I get the construction loan there and first. But they know that, you know, whoever's footing most of the bill, they got to obviously take first.
Gotcha. So they're lending on the project, and they see the timeline, and they're comfortable with that. That's interesting.
Yep, they know, like, and trust me. double-digit returns. We give 12%, 1% a month.
Did you meet that private money lender cold, or is that through a relationship?
Relationship, actually, I did a little job for them, and a little deck job and a little she shed they had turned into my #1 PML. She's lent like 9 deals, probably like close to 350K.
What kind of terms is she asking for you?
So I set the terms at interest only, balloon payments. So that helps with cash flow. A balloon payment is all at once, right? So instead of me paying you 1% a month, I pay it all at the end. So if I hold the deal for 8 months, it's 8%. If I hold it for 9 months, it's 9%. So I do 12% prorated, 1% a month. So for them, they're like, hey, hands off play, double-digit returns. I see what you're doing. And day one, you know, if I run off, they can just foreclose on it. We use a promissory note, all that same.
So you're stacking the deck 2 ways. One, I'm buying lots at a deep discount. We have talked about this before, right? We make all of our money when we buy. Same thing here in the land, but same thing, like we love talking about this house on Hannah. Like what saved Cory on that is he bought that house for $180,000 at the time. That's why he had enough equity and runway to go over budget and still not be totally like, you were never underwater. You had to leave money in the deal, but you were never underwater in the deal because you bought it so effectively, which is different than being able to burn out all the way, right? So buying really effectively, right, and then finding amazing terms on your money. Like that's two of the biggest issues of land, right? Is cost new construction, it's cost of land and then cost of money.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. So that made it easier. Because like a lot of you guys say, hey, I don't have money. All right, you don't have to have money. Right? Hey, I'm not a GC. I'm not a GC. Right? I'm studying for it, but I haven't done it yet. I haven't done a deal. I was like that last year.
Just contracting through a GC to pull permits?
Yep. That's it. He's my sponsor. That's it. I got my own general liability and I'm all legit, but we get to use his name and permits.
So you actually came in this, to be clear, people don't think about this, there is a difference between being a builder and a general contractor, right? A builder employs GCs. D.R. Horton, right? Barack Saltzman, they came to talk to us. Anybody come to that event with Barack where he came and talked to us last year? We had our grid lunch. We brought in the city manager, which is an interesting term. He manages all of East Tennessee to talk to us about all the development they're doing, all the way from Chattanooga up to Johnson City, right? Barack is not a GC. Barack is a manager for a company that employs general contractors. It is no different when I work with Jamie. Jamie set out to be a builder. He was picking plans, specs, and he was running this thing, and he was contracting with GCs to build the homes, these luxury homes that he was building. So that's an interesting model.
Yeah, so actually how we're set up is I'm a builder, developer, and agent. So it kind of works in our favor. So like you said, the developer, they're the one who puts the whole deal together. They get the funding, they do the underwriting, they make sure it makes sense. Whereas the builder is just a GC, right? So we're able to operate both capacities. And now, in the last 3 months, we started taking on client work. So we're building custom homes and spec homes, as well as investment homes.
I love it. Want to go through some frameworks really fast, talk about the fundamentals of new construction, and then we'll do some Q&A. We're also going to bring up our friend Leah Metcalf, who's, in my opinion, the best surveyor in town. No offense to your surveyor, right? But I think she's the best. To answer some of those questions that it would not be fair to ask Chris, because Chris has no idea what permitting or zoning is like in the Knoxville area, right? So yeah, a couple of big questions. We went through these slides beforehand, and Cory, feel free to jump in here. What can you build? What should you build? How do you manage the construction? How much is it going to cost?
Got you. Yeah, so all that really boils down to your pre-development, right? So pre-development is the phase before you go under contract, right? And you got to understand it's a risk, right? It's going to cost money. So in pre-development, it's a service we offer. We help people understand what the property is zoned for, right? So is it multifamily? Is it agricultural? What are the setbacks? Are there any variances, easements? So part of our pre-development is we help understand the zoning.
I don't know where that gentleman was that asked that question earlier about buying the land without an agent. Here you go. There's, right? It depends who you're paying. You could be paying an agent for some of these services if you got an agent that understands land, or it could be, going to, this is what I'm paying this developer for. This is what I'm paying this cost plus for. Is cool. Great. I'm getting him on the front end to walk me through the pre-development process.
Yeah, and alleviate some of that risk.
So you already talked about this. What can you build? A tear down, raw land. They did it in Augusta. This is coming here in Knoxville. If you just look at the math, the writing on the wall, all these janky ass houses, that are 100 years old.
Say tear down?
That no one did anything on, like economically, it is going to make sense to tear them down. When you just look at the cost for parcel, it's depending on how good you're at the permitting process, it already makes sense on some of these. We were talking it for a while. If you do missing middle and you can get 4 on one lot, then anything that you could buy, if you can get it for 200, including your tear down cost, that's 4, right? That's 4 pads at $50K a pad. Like those numbers, Chris?
Absolutely.
Yeah, for infill, like
Is
that.
Lauren still here? Those 4 houses that they put on like 1/4 acres.
Yeah. Yeah, well, she was the builder for them.
Yeah,
So
that's
she
crazy.
did right across from
Highwire.
the elementary school in South Knoxville. There are 4 tall and skinnies that Lauren, that she left here, that Lauren Farmer did. She didn't pick out all the finishes, so ask us for other properties. Like there's some finishes they could have done better. But yeah, they did 4 tall and skinnies there. They listed for $750. I don't know how much they moved them for. Some went for like in the 60s over there on like 30-foot wide lots.
It was like 1/4 acre, right, for all 4 of them, I think she said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like, what can you build? You know, I'm looking in downtown infill lots. Our lots are like 40 feet by 120, right? So you got to build a shotgun house. You can't build a long ranch. So you got to go vertical,
Yep.
right?
Which is common for Knoxville, most of our lots here are 50 by 100, 50 by 150, so it's usually pretty
Most of the
narrow.
infill lots are 50 by 100. Yeah, I'd agree, Cory. So you could tear down, or you could buy raw land. If there is raw land, you just got to look at, like, tear down is easy because it takes away a lot of the speculation about what, right? It's kind of common sense.
Yep.
If there was a house in there before, then should be able to put a house back on there. It clearly was plumbing. There was clearly utilities. Like there's a sewer hookup. Like
Yep.
yeah, it's pretty straight. So if I'm getting started, like that's the Justin Dumb. Like okay, cool. There was a 3-2 there. I could probably put a 3-2 back.
Yeah, so when I look at buying land, right, you basically want to look at the inverse. So what is the worst land you could buy? All right, so the worst land you could buy is land that's not zoned, right? You want to build a single family house, but it's agricultural, and they're not going to do it, right? Another one is if there's wetlands. What if half of it's wetlands? Or if you got a high water table?
I'm dealing with the floodplain right now, and I'm talking to civil engineers about hydrodynamic, hydrostatic, buoyancy, and debris impact calculations.
Sounds expensive. So, and then the other thing is utilities, right? So was there ever anything here? Was it on septic? Was it on public? And then is it flat? You know, that's like one of your last, like, is it super hilly? Do I need to have a slab design? Do I need to do a crawl space? So when you look at, is it a uneven, no utilities, wet, unzoned lot? You just want the opposite of that. You want, hey, what can I build on? What's basically turnkey? What's a turnkey lot?
If you look at some of these lots, if it's a 20, I was looking at Montrocher. Anyone know Montrocher? It's up in Powell. It's a neighborhood. I'm in the Facebook group randomly, and they're all debating. Anyways, if you're in Knoxville and you're looking at these subdivisions, and there's a lot that hasn't been built on for 20 years, might be a reason. Like that's the junk lot. That's where they dumped all of the fill and the debris, and like it's like hilly and it doesn't make a lot. That's why it sat there. It could make sense, but like might be a reason. Full of rock.
Absolutely, and even
Yeah.
like in subdivisions, like why would the developer not want to build that lot? You got everything here except for that corner lot that's like high and got a pitch, and you know it's kind of
Sure.
funky.
And some of it has been like, oh, cool. Like now it makes economic sense because houses were 500, and now the houses are 750.
Right.
So you can afford to go develop that lot, but it is just kind of like, especially around here, ask. Someone knows. People have been around. Like the neighbors might know. People know. This is not like you're moving to some area where no one's got any institutional history.
Yeah, it's not
People
new.
know.
Again, it's just resources and relationships,
Cool.
right?
Subdividable lots. Have you done any of these where we come in here and we buy a parcel and we rezone it into?
I haven't done that yet. I have one lot that's really long, and we're looking to maybe do some micro houses, like 600 to 800. I haven't done it yet though. Actually, I lied. There's one project that I was brought into. It's funny when you start getting skills, you just get brought into deals. The lady came to me. She said, "Hey, I want you to be my builder." I'm like, "Okay, that's cool. Like, let's build. Let's put it together." And then the deal went on. She said, "Hey, I actually want you to JV. Like, let's see how we can split it up to be partners."
So we'll run this by Leah here, but you can also buy property in here, and like it may not make sense to go buy a 3-acre parcel and put one house on it, but it could make a ton of sense if you're the one that's want to go through the effort of subdividing this up, and I can go build 6 houses, right? 6 half-acre.
Yeah,
lots.
so with that lot was actually 6 lots on like 4 acres. So we got to rezone for a higher density at 14. So therefore the deal makes sense. It didn't make sense at 6.
Mm-hmm.
So we went to the commission and the board and engineering and paid for all that.
But you went back there, it was 6 lots, 4 acres total, and you said, hey, we're gonna do 14, so, right, about a little over like a third of an acre, right around there, like
Yep.
14, a little less, I guess.
Double
yeah.
our density.
Yeah.
And then it made more sense.
So zoning, right? This is a big one here, right? In terms of like, what's the property zoned for? Am I gonna have to rezone it? And then, are you ever buying properties? Are you doing the zoning in your due diligence, or are you doing it after you purchase the property?
For the most part, everything's buildable. It's all single family residence, not much.
Because you're looking at infill.
Yeah, mostly
Yep.
infill lots, so.
So zoning's gonna be more of a question if you wanna play on the development side of that, right? Of like, how am I going and taking raw land and converting into something usable? That is a huge need here. Cory, what was the data that Travis shared with us about like the missing? You remember this with the Homebuilders Association?
Oh, as far as like the shortage that we have?
Yeah. I think I got the data. I just want to see if you had it. So he said they brought in a consultant, the Homebuilders Association brought in a consultant, and they said that we have a need for 20,000 buildable lots in Knoxville, and we have 6,000 buildable lots. So there's a need for another 14,000 lots in Knoxville. So there's the opportunity if you want to make money on the development side. It's out there.
Actually, I want to give a quick resource too. If you're ever curious about looking into zoning and what's out there, kgis.org, right, has a great map feature on there that will show you how the entire city is zoned. And they're about 18 months ago now. It's been probably a little over a year since the city council passed their TDR, their missing middle housing initiative. So there's actually a toggle on that map that you can look at, which I think they have it outlined as their 1-year plan, but really that's their TDR. So really what that is, that's traditional density residential. So the city went and cherry picked out a swath roughly within about the mile radius of downtown where you've got
Within 640?
yeah, pretty much within the 640 loop to start. And those are areas of opportunity where they're looking for some missing middle housing, right? Those duplex, triplex, quads, where a lot of that is already zoned RN2 that would either be for like 2 units, commonly like a duplex. And you can go and petition the city to look to increase your density. So maybe if you've got an alley on that lot, you might be able to get a 4-unit in there. Like they're encouraging of this. So if you're looking to see like where's the ball headed, it's a great free resource anybody can go to, kgis.org, and you can look and see like where's the city already encouraging us for. So if you're going out and looking for deals or looking for land, looking for houses that should probably just be torn down, rezoned, redeveloped, like that's going to be a great resource for you. You can really just create kind of a heat map on your search.
Absolutely. And then another resource is just your planning and development department, right? It's free information. You can just say, hey, what's up with 123 Main Street? What could I build there? Where's the code book? How do I understand the boundaries? So planning and development's a free resource too.
Yeah, and they'll give you comments on this, and right now I have a group chat going. Leah's on this group chat. We have someone pulling the permits for us. We're pulling in the storm engineer to explain what his questions are. Like we're going through like one of the more complicated deals I've done in Knoxville because it's in a floodplain. Just talking it through with them. Like they have a lot of questions. People who don't want to deal with the city, that's an opportunity. Like I've got a high tolerance for BS, so I'll just go deal with it. Like there's money to be made. I just deal with nonsense all day long. I work in residential real estate with consumers. I'm a firefighter. Like I like fires. So that's, I would say, same thing, right? When you have a background in like civil engineering and construction, it's like, right, people are paying you for process. Like you're not stressed about process, right? That's all I do is provide process. That's my value add. So like there's different ways to attack the game. Like I don't mind bureaucracy and going through stuff. I have found, I think, that them to be pretty helpful. In general, my developers here that are dealing with larger projects might disagree. Like it's you get two different things about what the hoops you have to jump through with the city, but on the smaller level, if you're an individual, I've seen they've tried to be pretty helpful on the front end of it.
Yeah, you make a phone call, someone will talk to you.
Yeah, answering as many questions as they
Yeah.
can, and you know, I tell this story all the time. Had you visited the city county building and gone down to talk to anyone in person, they had a diorama of everything they were doing on the south waterfront, like in 2012. Like you could have went and bought all these properties in the south waterfront that were 60,000 at any time. It wasn't like a secret. Like it was right there for any of us to go, you know, snap it up. So yeah, I love that. Great resource there on the front end.
And real quick, working with the city, right? If it's difficult, it's usually worth it, right? If it's hard, it's usually worth it, right? You work out, it's worth it. You go to school.
It's very good. Even then,
That
Yes.
can be true.
yeah, there are. I mean, you just have to know like what you're getting into, but you can make it worth it.
Yeah.
So we've got condos going in or townhomes going in Farragut right now.
Would you do it again now that you've invested all the front end?
They would not know.
Okay, fair enough.
They're building these and they're selling the rest.
I would also
Why?
say there's, to be fair though, with Farragut being this difficult is in other municipalities,
Mhm.
in Virginia, everything is insane.
Yeah.
In
That's
DC,
coming this way.
everything is insane, you know?
Yep.
When the option is deal with Farragut or go out to the county and deal with basically nothing,
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty attractive to go deal with
Go to the county.
deal with nothing. One thing we have highlighted here, just be aware, as much as we're saying those people are nice, like get due diligence periods, because just because they're nice doesn't mean they have final approval. And there are some steps, and there is, depending on what you're doing, there's a political part of the process where it's got to go for a review, and you may have politicians that need to sign off on it. I see heads nodding here, so just be aware of that. Like, probably is not the same as yes.
Yeah, and also, you know, when you're buying the land, 90 days due diligence standard.
How did you figure out what kind of product you're building? What kind of market research are you doing?
So I'm looking at what's buyable, right? There's different tiers. There's the ultra luxury, you know, 1 million plus, where maybe 3% of the people can buy, and then there's your first time home buyer, you know, 250 under, and then there's the middle, right? So what I was looking at is what's a house that I could build for cheap and sell a lot of. So my products I'm selling at 255K, brand new, 1450 square feet, 3.2s. And what we've been able to do is, again, acquire all this land. A lot of them's on the same street, so there's efficiencies building 2 at a time. And funny enough, the banks actually like to do bigger deals, right? Are there lenders in here? Who's a lender? Right. So would you rather fund me 250,000 or 2.5?
Yeah, they'd rather the big deal.
Yeah. So they're like they're more attracted to that.
Well, just like everything else, there's a minimum amount of effort to do anything. There's a minimum amount of effort and cost to process a loan, right? And so if I can do a larger one, it's a better ROI.
Absolutely.
Yeah, fantastic. I love that answer. I've got some questions here. I kind of want to talk through some zoning and some stuff, and I'm wondering if we can bring our second guest up here, because I think we could just have a great roundtable with the two of you. Leah, do you want to come up here?
Let's give Leah a hand.
Slide down on the couch between two ferns.
That's right.
You're welcome.
So, Leah, I'm gonna pass this. Chris, you're gonna pass this back and forth because we're getting creative with our mics. All right. So if you hand the mic to Leah really fast. Leah, tell us who you are. What do you do?
I'm
What's
Leah
your
Metcalf.
sign? Where are you from?
I'm an Aries, no. Originally from Tampa, so we share the same roots. You probably know where my picture's taken. Does it look familiar?
Oh, it does look familiar. Are you down there, like just north of downtown, over by like on Florida? in
Yep,
Ashley?
Ybor City.
Oh, you're in
Yeah,
Ybor.
that's
Okay.
where that was
I wasn't
taken.
sure if
I
you
used to
were.
work down there, so.
We do event at the Portico.
Okay, yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was at the
You're
Portico.
telling me about that,
Yeah.
so. But yes, I'm one of the co-owners of Atlas Survey and Mapping. We're approaching our 3rd year, so excited about that. Been surveying for about 10 years.
What
Background.
does a surveyor do, like beyond just like, I don't know, going out and finding the pens? Like, what does a surveyor do? Because we collaborate on a lot more than
Yes.
just. Yeah.
We help in the due diligence process, zoning, make sure your setbacks and everything are good. Any title, like I do commercial as well, so any title issues, encroachments, easements, kind of define that as well.
Yeah, I just had Leah had to come out with, and helped me deal with an issue where we had an encroachment. We were transferring a property. Title was not going to close until we fixed it. So she went out there, interacted with the neighbor as well, got that, recorded this at the city,
Yeah, had
like
to do
staked
another
it.
subdivision plat and
Yeah.
fix that issue.
Created the plat. So a surveyor, like in addition to obviously like producing a survey which tells me what the boundaries of a property are, like they're gonna go ahead and tell me what are the easements on that property, what are the setbacks on that property, and they're gonna collaborate with me on what's the use of that property, right? We're gonna talk about zoning as well. And then when we're collaborating with the city, like right now you are producing a site plan for us, right?
Yes,
So
so on
what's
your
a-
floodplain
Yes, so
issue.
what's a site plan?
So a site plan for new construction, we also do it for building additions. Some cities require that, like Nashville. I do work over there too. They require for building additions to get site plan, so showing existing, if there's a house, what you're adding on to, square footage, driveways,
And so
setbacks.
when we're looking at this, blueprints, right? Blueprints are, a good set of blueprints is gonna tell me everything about building a structure. Including like, if I pay for a full set of plans, it's gonna have my mechanical, it's gonna have my electrical, it's gonna have like foundations, all the way broken down, exploded by floor as well, right? We've all seen blueprints, that's what blueprints are gonna do for me. They're not specific to a property. A site plan is gonna show me what's the intersection of this house with this specific property. Okay, show me where this house is gonna sit with relation to the setbacks, the easements, like what is it gonna look like with the driveway, the garage, all of that stuff laid out
The
onto
existing
it.
neighbors, if your
Yep.
houses are all certain distance back, even it's further back than setbacks
Sure.
sometimes,
And-
historically.
Cities can vary from everything from you being able to hand draw a site plan, like in the county, right? Like just here's roughly where this is gonna look like within these, to, hey, I wanna have like this full site plan and I wanna have an elevation. An elevation meaning like you used to hire painters. I met a guy who was his whole job. He was a painter that like could read plans, but where someone's drawing what it's gonna look like or creating like a 3D model or something of that of like, here's what the property.
Topographic contours,
Yep.
all that.
Showing the
Especially in
topographic
Tennessee, you
contours.
have the mountains, hills, gotta
Yep.
show elevations.
So like in
finished floor.
Tellico Village, if you wanna build it there, you have to show the HOA or the Architectural Design Committee, an elevation of like what's the property gonna look like when it's constructed, as well as like the site plan. Awesome.
You'll find that in the historic area too.
Yep, historic areas is gonna be the same thing, like, cause they wanna see, is it gonna be within the context of the neighborhood? Is it gonna fit within the neighborhood? So, how do we manage construction? What does it cost, right? Some of this is we're gonna have, this is maybe for you. Gonna need building plans, we're gonna need a site plan, you know. How do you source building plans?
Yeah, so actually, there's value added in not going to online and buying plans. Because if you go to a local architect, you can actually own those plans and use them over and over. Whereas if you go online to like say E-Plans, you buy them for $900. That's for 123 Main Street, but that license doesn't go to 345 Main Street.
I have seen people get in very serious trouble for building the same set of plans without paying for a license. Totally ruined this relationship. It's a big part of my story, all the fallout from this. Because he shared the plans with an attorney who happened to represent, his firm represented that architect. It's an easy way to get caught.
Absolutely, yeah. So you just gotta look into the future. What are you building, right? I'm in downtown. I'm building shotgun houses, long and skinnies, tall and skinnies. So like, what are we doing here? What's it gonna look like? Is it luxury, high end, or who's the end user, right? And we're actually going to a build to rent model now. So we're like, all right, so how can we flip this to be better for college students or professionals? But yeah, just looking to see what's in the area, right? You're not going to build a Victorian next to all moderns and stuff like that. And then just making sure you stay within budget to make it profitable.
I have a question on that. I have a question regarding because you just said you're looking to switch between build to sell, build to rent. I know our mutual friend Reg certainly has his take on if I'm building this or if I'm keeping it as rental. So I'm curious, like what differences are you making, say, between the two in terms of if you're building it to sell versus just building it to rent?
Yeah, so downtown, we've completed our first development project of 6 houses. So what I was trying to do was mark my quality as a builder, say, hey, this is a Huntington project, this is high end, right? So I did the waterfall, the countertops, I did the level 5 courts, upgraded fixtures and stuff like that. But that wasn't for me to make more money because I was capped. They're not going to pay more than $250. So what I had to do is I had to set the comps in the area, right? So I build them, sell them. You know, we're in and out between 4 to 5 months, and kind of setting the comps. But you know that you're not going to sell the same house for $450 if you bring it to another county, maybe. But yeah, so really just looking at who the end user is, and then also, you know, if you're looking at a rental, you want something that's easy to swap out. You know, more durability, just like fix and flips for our rentals. If a door breaks, we just go get it from Lowe's. Same with cabinets. So a lot of stuff don't cost a lot to really make it look decent. Yeah.
I'm curious, you know, I see that it's 8, we've added a lot of value. Do you want to open up to questions? Do you guys have specific questions? Rashid, what's your question?
When looking at this dirt, because I never did a new build before, how do you know if dirt is buildable or not?
When looking at dirt, how do we know if dirt is buildable or not? So when I'm looking at a lot, I'm going to rephrase this. What's my due diligence look like every time that I'm looking at land?
Yeah, to know if I can build on. Not saying
to see if it's buildable.
Disregard like the swamps and the 4 things you named, just a regular lot. Like, who do you call to be like, hey, is this lot buildable?
Okay, so how do I know if it's buildable? So that's a great question. Leah, do you want to take?
Well, you can hire a soil scientist to do due diligence. They can do bore testings in the ground for chemicals. Sometimes there's hazardous chemicals in the land. I mean, here we have rock. They can test that. So there's different ways you can kind of research ahead.
How much is that costing?
That I don't know because I haven't personally done it. So, but yeah, there's other professionals you can kind of reach out and they can give you advice. I know there's also certain areas, cities have soil maps on record. You can go down to the city, county, and kind of request those.
Chris, do you have an answer? I got one, but I want to.
Yeah, so the first answer is what's to the left and what's to the right. Right, so even when you're looking at zoning, you know, you may be like, hey, there's a duplex over here, duplex over here.
Amen.
But you think you can only build a single family, but like, all right, but the duplexes everywhere. Right, so see what's going on in the area. And then again, like I said, those top 4. Can you get water to it? Is it flat? Is it, and then just leverage contractors.
Something in the more rural area, you have to be like, okay, I got to cost some.
Well, yeah, so, but let's break it down into categories for everybody, because I think it's a really great question, right? First is going to be zoning, right? Let's start with zoning. Like, what's it zoned for? Like, if it's zoned for this already, that's going to give me some clear. If I go and look at this, what you're going to see in the city of Knoxville, right? There's agricultural, there's commercial, and there's RN 1 through 4. Now, that's not the same. It's not just like RN 4 means you can put a quadplex on it. It's, if you look at it, each of those is a different density. So RN 1 versus RN 2 has different minimum lot sizes for what you might build on it, and different setbacks. Right? Well, no, it's different lot sizes. So it can vary on those. That's a question you could ask like your surveyor, you could ask like the city, they will tell you exactly. And it's pretty straightforward in terms of, hey, what can I actually build on this property? At a minimum to understand, like, is a property buildable? Like, can I put something on here? Yeah. It's gonna come down to zoning, it's gonna come down to utility access. Where are the utilities? Whether it's in the city or out in there, how far away are my utilities? Are my utilities right at the street, right? Are my utilities 3 miles away? Like, am I gonna have to bring them all the way up here? That's also why, like, great, fantastic, you bought 5 acres. Yeah. Do you got 5 acre money?
Right.
You got money to run utilities, like a mile? Yeah. If you wanna have like great, this really long miles, not exaggeration, but do you have utilities to run them 1,000 feet and to do a 1,000-foot driveway? Like, these are all costs. But zoning, utility access, let's say that sewer's not available there. So I'm going to look at septic, then I'm going to have to go do a percolation test. And a perk test is going to tell me, like, how fast does the stuff percolate through the soil, and that's going to determine my septic system. Like, depending on the composition of the soil, it's going to tell me, fantastic, you could build a 2-bedroom home, or you could build a 4-bedroom home here, and this is what the septic system would look like. It's going to need to be, 100 feet, or it's going to need 500 feet of line or something, right? And then the last piece of that would just be the soil scientist, like the soil composition. Like, if I go get a soil test, just what's kind of what's the composition of the soil? Generally speaking, if we're looking at a relatively level lot, you know, it's not, I don't see stuff here where it's like a sinkhole or you can't build anything on it. Where it comes up a lot is when you're doing larger projects. You'll see geotechnical engineering firms like Universal Engineering Services is one. They just bought Geos, which is a geotechnical engineering firm. They're coming out, they're doing soil samples. That's telling them like what's the soil gonna support. And it's also telling them when they're building on site like large scale projects, what's the soil composition? Because the soil composition is gonna affect like the cement ratio. Like when you're building concrete, how much cement do you put in versus the soil on the ground versus like what do you have to add to get that composition? Like, I don't know if that's kind of give an oversight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
To help his comfort zone too, calling one entity is a venture type of thing. Why would it not be advisable to just call MPC?
Call MPC, call Metropolitan Planning Commission. Yeah. And you can have conversations. Also, then you got environmental considerations, and then you've got like
They
water
can advise
considerations
him who-
and setbacks as well. Like to think through.
They can advise him who to go to next, maybe.
Honestly, Rashid, this is what comes down to like have a team. Like have an agent and have like a GC that knows what they're doing on the front end, and like all together, you know, do this and you have due diligence in the land contract to go through a ton of these things. And if you just read through the land contract, it will tell you like the 10 things you might want to do due diligence about, which is a good starting place. Yeah.
So if you're, and this is kind of a Knoxville issue, if you're buying land that's not level or has a fairly aggressive grade to it, how much risk are you inheriting there?
It just depends if you know what you're doing. Like so the grade is not. I wouldn't say
Assuming
grade.
you don't, who would you bring in to assess that?
A contractor, an excavation company that has experience building in that area. Like, if the Smokies tell you anything, it's possible to build anything. Right? You can build it hanging off the side of there if you have the right like structural engineering. You could build like anything you want. So there's not inherent risk just because of grade. And please correct me if I'm wrong. Like, it's just the inherent risk is what's your crawl gonna be? Are you gonna have to do a tall crawl? Are you gonna have to do a basement? And then like, what is that? I see Derek builds houses. Like he just built one like on a nice, right? Big walkout. He had a big, like a 14-foot basement on that one, right, D?
Yes.
Yeah. There was an infill lot, sold for 1.3 million. It just comes down to that's what we're looking at. Like, what can I build there? This one's gonna have an extra $100,000 in cost because of the grade. And so that's gonna back out like what can I exit on it or what kind of house can I build?
So when you're talking about the soil test, is one of the things you're looking at then the soil density, so you know your ratio of soil to cement for compacting?
I don't know, Derek, you do excavation. Are you doing soil tests out there?
Not really. We call Geo Services and have them come out and do certain tests for us and look at it. We actually ended up having to haul in about 300 loads of fill dirt.
Yeah.
And bring it up because.
And build a retaining wall and, yeah. Like you can
make anything work.
Yeah, that's it. It's like, the honest answer is you do this long enough, like you can do anything. It's just like, is it feasible for your exit case?
Yeah, the biggest thing is really foundation design. You know, are you going with a slab? Sorry, yeah, are you going with a slab? Like you said, crawl space. So again, you can build whatever you want. It's just, you know, how are you going to design it and does the numbers work? Do the numbers work?
Yeah, I would say the bigger risk is rock.
Is what?
Rock. If you're talking about risk factors, like when buying like a graded, like some of these lots, like we're out in split rail or any of this other stuff, it's like hitting rock is in terms of a risk factor, because that is where you run into like this can be like a flip where you're like, ooh, yeah, there goes an extra tens of thousands of dollars because we hit rock.
You're talking like a real big rock.
Yeah, 100%. I see Lance nodding. Like that's probably in terms of like unknowns. Rock is the
limestone.
Yeah, you can hit limestone. You're blasting through, and then it can also jack your well. It can be whatever. It's why in the Smokies.
That also might be more likely if you're already on grade, because that may be why it's on the slope.
Maybe
What's underneath.
Yep, but I think just get with a good team. Like we're not gonna be able to answer every question up here.
Dwight, you had a question. Did you have a question, Dwight?
Yeah, I have two questions, but I'm gonna just stick with one. On the slide there, you had some hard costs, and then you mentioned, Chris, that you have a private money lender that buys the land and you pay 1% per month. Awesome deal. So what are your initial hard costs? I saw like a site plan up there, because once again, I've never done new construction. So what would be my hard costs initially starting out, besides just pouring the concrete slab, bringing the frames out there, So what are the initial first startup costs just to get it up
Okay,
and
so
running?
great. So we're going to talk about, and we're getting to this, hard costs, soft costs,
Right.
land costs. So we already talked about land costs. What percentage do you want your land cost to be on a build for you?
Under 10% of the total ARV.
Awesome.
So if it's 250, you gotta be under 25K.
And that's a profit margin for you. I've heard other developers say, hey, all in, including utilities and everything, like for that to be buildable, 20%. If it's under 20%. And then we have hard costs and soft costs. What are the hard, soft costs would be like carrying costs, things like that. What are the hard costs to get started that we're gonna need on the front end before we start building?
Yeah, so honestly, I think on the front end is rather soft cost. So you gotta look at what can you bring to the lender, right? So if my lender's over here, they say, all right, what are you building? How much does it cost? Where is it? Right? So, like I said, some of the pre-development services we provide, you have to get it surveyed sometimes. Maybe there's not an accurate plat, right? Or nothing on record. So, as the buyer or developer, sometimes I have to get it surveyed. Sometimes I have to get it land cleared. You know, we try to avoid that, but sometimes you have to get it cleared. You have to get your architectural plans, right? So your floor plans, and for soft costs on the front end, that's mostly it. You know, that info should get you.
Right.
And then I guess soft costs would also be the due diligence we just talked about. If I have to have a septic system, you've been doing infill, so you've been avoiding a lot of this because, right?
Yep.
You've got utilities and this stuff out there. That's why, but you're dealing with the city.
Yeah, but actually I'm dealing with some larger tracts outside. So
Gotcha.
also your soil maps, right? Soil scientists, they come do borings, they say, hey, there's 5 over here. Where's a good spot? Where can you situate the house? That may cost you about $1,500. And then also your what is it? Your septic, right? So the perk test, percolation, right? That may cost like $250 for the health department to come and say, hey, you can put a septic here and where it should go. For the most part, that's what you need up front.
Okay, so once you get that, is that able to roll into a loan, or is that separate from the loan? So you got 20K, let's say it's 20,000, so you didn't spend the 20,000. So can that roll into the loan with a longer term with that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. That's the goal, is to be out of pocket, low to no money, right? So even some of my clients say, hey, you're gonna pay for the survey and this soil map now, but we're gonna put it into the loan. So essentially, you're financing it.
And I think it would be helpful, I'll run through these really fast here, is when we're talking about the process, you can just hire a GC to run some of this stuff through. That's what I would do, Eric, is like finding someone that's got experience, who's built in that neighborhood, who's got, right? Awesome. They're gonna be able to save a ton on the front end. You can also, if I'm doing this, right, I could partner with, I just bring the land. I bring the land, or I bring the funds, or right, I can joint venture with somebody as a builder. You know, there's a reason we talk about this all day long. I think joint ventures make a ton of sense on new construction, even more so than flips, because it's clearly defined, and that's the model that most people are running to some extent, right? He's using a private money lender, but most people are running some sort of that, hey, I've got the land, I'll put the land up, you build it, and you know, we're gonna use, Rashid's got the net worth, he'll go to the bank for us. We'll go build it, we'll split up the profits. That's how I learned this game was, Jamie would just come back from the golf course, and we'd have 3 new houses to sell.
Wow.
Because that's what would have happened. They would have been like, Joey's got the lots, I'll go take care of getting this thing built, and we're gonna go, you know, Dennis will go to the bank and get a line of credit. Like, he's got a net worth of like 5 million, so no problem. They're gonna give him the money. And you just guarantee the loan.
Yep, absolutely. That's one deal we did. And like I said, sometimes like when you're doing development, you can't force it, right? So what's for you is for you, and what's not for you, if you don't feel right, you gotta walk away.
Yeah.
I got a question for Leah. Leah, what are the biggest mistakes you see people, like, you know, I bought this land and now I'm doing this on the back end, you know?
It's definitely do your due diligence ahead of time. Even KGIS can be really helpful with showing your property lines, but we always say GIS is get it surveyed, because it's always sometimes a 10-foot buffer where that actual corner is.
Yep.
So I always recommend, even though it's not required in Tennessee, but in Florida it's required to get a survey before you even close
Yeah.
on the deal. So at least you know where your corners are, where your property is, if that fence really is yours or not. So that's one big thing, is always know what you're buying ahead of time.
And what about zoning? Are you seeing people getting like duplexes or quadplexes approved in the city right now? Like, what are you
Definitely
seeing?
this year I've seen an uptake of new construction, subdivision, land plotting and all that. So subdivision plats have been like my major task this year, is just nonstop. But duplexes, I think I have a triplex right now I'm working with someone on as well.
I have a question. Like, I've heard probably some of the most common reasons I've heard, like why folks don't necessarily get a survey, is they might be hesitant because of like a time delay. They might think like it takes a long time.
Oh, yeah.
What are you seeing like on average it actually taking for if I get a property under contract, how long should I account for in my due diligence period to get a survey title? And I'm not talking about some rural tract of land out in the middle of nowhere that may take longer, just infill lot.
For me here in infill, I can probably in like 2 weeks turn it around. I know different survey companies have different timelines where they're backed up or not, but if you just want me to go out there, check the lines, draw a simple map for you, about 2 weeks turnaround.
So either like, so if I'm doing a contract, I might factor in an extra 2 weeks or a week just to have a little buffer in there, which probably wouldn't blow up too many deals. I think just as like an investor and putting things under contract, like we're commonly seeing, 30-day turnarounds for most contracts, or if I'm doing like a quick cash close and I want to say it's a 14-day, we'll extend it to 21 or 28 and order the survey and have it done just as part of it.
And I say, if you know ahead of time, like your closing date, like let me know, and I try to work with you and try to get it done a little bit quicker if I know ahead of time. So.
And I am not an attorney, but if you look at the Tennessee Association of Realtors land contract, there are a number of pre-written due diligence clauses in there. There is a feasibility study clause in there, which is written so broadly that you can use that for pretty much anything that you want to do. So you could write a bunch of individual ones on there. You might want to write zoning or something if you're collaborating with that seller to get it rezoned. You can make it contingent upon it being rezoned before you're closing, but you can put a contingency in there, a feasibility study for you to do all of this due diligence underneath that one contingency. And if it gives you an easy way to walk away from the deal if you find after you get it surveyed you can't do what you want to do with the property. Joey.
I got a question more so in the terms of like building a primary versus an investment. How does it work with interest payments when you're having like a new construction built for your personal residence? Are you paying interest on the project cost? Is it non-Dutch interest? Are you not paying during that period of time that it's being built? How does that work?
Gotcha. So a couple questions. If I'm building a primary residence and I'm taking out a new construction loan, how does that work? Really great lender question, because it's going to depend on your kind of loan. But you threw out a term Dutch interest. So can you answer this on the primary side?
Yeah, most definitely. So I've experienced with VAs, VAs, thanks to the soldiers, y'all get it the best, right? Y'all got the best loan products out there. They actually have a VA loan contingency. So therefore, your interest is paid and bundled into the loan. So not only do you come like little to no money for a down payment, but also over the life of the project, you're not paying for it. But a typical conventional loan, you do construction draws. So say if it's a $500,000 house, 5 milestones, $100,000 each, right? So say 5 months, right? Each month is $100K. So as the time goes on, you're lending more. Month 1 is 100, month 2 is 200K. So month 1, you may be paying like $650 for your mortgage or interest only. Month 2, it just goes up. So as you draw more money, your mortgage comes up for a larger amount. And they have different type of products like one-time close. You can do the land and the structure together. You know how I do it? I lock up the land. I go to my lender, say, hey, I own this free and clear, and they take that as equity, so I don't pay any down payments. But this is based on how you structure, but typically it's just an escalating amount based on how much you draw. And your contract can tell you that because he has a schedule. Say, hey, by January we're going to be here, by February we're going to be here. So he can help you with your draws so you can predict what your payments would be.
And you got 2 options you could do. You can do 2 distinct loans. There's a loan for the construction, and then, basically at closing they can convert to a permanent loan. And depending on the structure, as Morgan told me, if it's anything crazy here, you can have one loan that is a construction or permanent loan, because the terms are different for the construction period than they are for the permanent period.
Very much so. you're absolutely right, there's one-time close and construction permanent. One-time close is gonna be a lot more often the type that you're not paying construction over the cost of construction to permanent. More frequently, you will have that escalating payments over time.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously the drawback to construction to permanent is you have two sets of closing costs, two lender title fees, points to two lenders. You know, so that, there's definitely a lot of advantages to, what he was saying about VA one-time close, VA one-time close is amazing. If anyone who knows a veteran, tell them to build a house.
Once again, it's not fun. All the answers are always, it depends, but this is another, like, we have a team for a reason. Like, I was a mortgage broker. I know nothing about loans now on purpose, because in the same time me and you spent speculating, I could get Morgan on the phone, he could look at guidelines, and I could have a real answer in 10 minutes. And that's what I do, I can read loan guidelines. I don't, because it's not my job, it's Morgan's job. So just because it's gonna depend for all of you upon, like, what kind of income do you have? What's your filing taxes? What kind of documentation do you want to provide is going to depend on what kind of loan you qualify for, and then what are the specifics of that loan product.
So this is another kind of lending question, I guess, not to go too deep into it, but when you're, say that $300,000 house, when you're finished building that house and you get a loan or a mortgage on the home, if that home value appraises for more, like, can you technically take equity out of when you finance?
Morgan, this is a Morgan question. No, but I mean it is, just like it's a lender question. So Morgan, he's asking, like, at the closing, could you do a cash out?
Of a construction loan?
Like, say you built a $300,000 house and you got it appraised for $330,000 when you went to get your full mortgage once the construction was done. Can you take money out at that point? You know what I'm saying?
You can on a construction. It's not, that's be a very lender by lender thing, but the loan to values on cash out refinance versus what you, typically, you have a 90% loan to construction that you can do, right? So they'll lend you 90% of the cost of what it takes to build the house. And we're talking solely about investment properties here, right? So then when you go to take the cash out, you get 75% of the project minus your closing costs, 2 or 3%. The reality is that it's very rare that you're actually able to be lent back and end up cash positive out of it. It can happen, but I don't want that to be the basic.
And this brings up the slide that we added, Chris, here, the difference between loan to cost and loan to value, right? Like, so loan to cost is what he was talking about, that you could get up to 90% of your loan to cost depending upon the project you're using, right? But that does not mean they may also be looking at the loan to value and taking the lower of the two. So great, awesome, you crushed the budget, but when we look at the LTV, like, do you have more than 20% equity on a project? However, if you want to get afterwards, there's tons of ways you can get money out of a construction project, but it comes down to more like the structural side of that, and your relationship, like, with the contractor, and, like, you know, your relationship with the entity that's building the project. Like, there's nothing to stop your lender, your contractor could go be very profitable.
I can't hear this.
Sure. Well, it depends. I guess it depends on how you structure it and who's the entity. And, like, I'm from the perspective of, we have multiple entities, and so then you have entities doing business with each other, right? Like, if I hire my own construction company, like, I'm not, like, breaking the law and doing that. If they're a separate entity and that's showing up on a separate P&L.
That's accurate.
And then I'm taking, like, a distribution from that, that'd be totally legal, right, Morgan?
Completely legal.
So there we go.
Cool.
Don't tell me you're doing any of that.
Okay. But it just, you could do all that without, like, breaking laws, right? Like,
absolutely.
You can have multiple entities, like, because we have, it's not a fiction, we have employees in these other entities, so there's other people involved in these things. So.
And also, it depends on your relationship with the lender, right? I have some lenders I've done a lot of deals with, and I just be straightforward with them, like, hey, I need a little more money. And they're like, oh, well, just add a little bit more to your overhead, and we'll make it work, right? And they'll look at, hey, what's your loan to cost? Like, all right, well, if you add this to your budget, it's going to appear like this. and you can finesse the numbers a little bit.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
But don't commit mortgage fraud, guys.
They're coming after you now.
You will get caught eventually. No, but really, people don't thank you. But I've seen enough of like people where you're like, cool, there's 200 people. Everyone is committing mortgage fraud. I'm like, and then you're like, oh no, they all got in trouble. It took years, but they got prosecuted and they got in trouble, and people went to jail for committing mortgage fraud. Don't commit mortgage fraud.
It's a real thing.
But no, there are ways to get money at closing. You know, there's ways to us as agents to structure in. I could pay myself 8% commission on a deal. There's nothing stopping me from paying myself commission if I want to get cash at closing. I want to pay tax on it, but there's totally legal ways to do some of these things. Yeah. Anybody have any other questions? I know we went late. We're gonna hang around here. Leah, I have one more question for you, just because we've done a ton of stuff on this. If I want to go buy and subdivide property, like is that viable? You said you're doing it a ton. Where are you seeing people making those moves? At what part of the area in East Tennessee are you seeing people do this?
We're starting to go out into the agricultural areas and start rezoning. I've had a few.
Gotcha. So we're
To get
going
to
beyond
online
like our
ones.
tertiary markets, like
Yeah.
beyond Blunt and Anderson. We're going out into like Roan and Granger and like.
I'm actually working on a subdivision, Oak Ridge, trying to finish up Forest Creek. I don't know if you've heard of them.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Working with them, doing a lot of their, trying to split up another lot to do. And then Kingston, we're starting another one there, hopefully the beginning of next year.
We're going to hang around if someone has some questions. We'll talk through some other stuff. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. Thanks for staying. I know we went late today. Cory, any final words of wisdom for us?
No. Yeah, just thanks everybody for coming out. We'll certainly see you at some of our next events. Next month, our topic of discussion is going to be 1031 exchanges and other tax saving strategies. So here as we head towards the end of the year, people are starting to think of those things. We're going to be excited to put a really cool panel together for that.
Go take action. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you.